a fan to American day.
In the man straight.
The man just straight.
So all day I tread cautiously.
In
the coronavirus.
Oh, anti-mamly.
In the idea every year, say medical and bawa ebe say what?
Obviously, what then?
Oh man, Charlie, the B. Charlie, let's go to the papers. I know it's okay.
Charlie, it's the uncle front page. Na men King can brofo kakranche one eye.
Oh, I'm at an area.
Mr. American, let me read you the front page.
Oh, King can in Krata.
American can newspaper.
Okay, Marty.
Front page of the Daily Graphic. Minimizing COVID-19 impact. Government rescues vulnerable. Kayaye to get meals, accommodation, stipends. Comes with a photo of Mrs. Cynthia Mamle Morrison, Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection. President household test negative for COVID-19. Parliament approves $35 million World Bank facility for COVID-19. And Cocoa Board CEO, 3 deputies donate salaries to support COVID-19 fight.
Now, if you check the Ghanaian Times, President, First Lady, others test negative for COVID-19. 40 COVID-19 contacts quarantined in Tamale. Ghana's COVID-19 cases jumped to 195. And COVID-19 updates, private burials increase in Accra due to ban on large funerals and lockdown. But if you check the inside pages, we are being told that Parliament has approved some loans for construction of hospitals across the country. We'll give you those details later.
Front page of the ABC News also goes with the president's negative test for COVID-19. They also go with John Mahama exposing Airbus saga and Dr. Baumia launching the online scholarship application system.
Now, the new crusading guide. Ekufuado test negative for COVID-19. COVID-19 panic at Spintex. Residents agitate over Titi Ofe's isolation center offer and will ensure COVID-19 free Ghana. George Anda says donates hospital equipment, materials to fight the virus.
All right. Let me take you online for some quick headlines. CitiNewsroom.com. Parliament approves $35 million facility, as you read. Also, Health Minister misspoke on treatment of VIPs at BOG Hospital. This will go upon Chroma. Also, July's budget will realign economy to global COVID-19 impact. This is Kenneth Foriata. Meanwhile, the BOG has sent out a statement. Our hospitals are available to all or to all COVID-19 patients. And cutting down ministers and staffers for coronavirus program will be immaterial. This is the finance minister speaking. Now, if you go to citybusinessnews.com, don't touch heritage fund. You will burden future generations. IES cautions government. Also, finance committee is yet to decide on request for lowering of stabilization fund cap and AGI to help identify members of SME sector exempted from partial work. Let's go to myjournline.com. Burkina Faso, Guinea refuse to receive citizens who tested positive for coronavirus in Ghana. Also, DC accuses police of assault in lockdown in Kumasi. Meanwhile, a video of civilian hitting a military man happened in 2019, according to the Ghana Armed Forces. If you go to the GNA, Ghana's COVID-19 case countdown now stands at 195. Helpline 311 dedicated as additional access for COVID-19 service. And also 2 Kumasi market shut down for violating health protocols. And as you know, global cases are inching closer. World close to 1 million virus infections according to WHO. This is what the BBC is leading with. And the death toll now exceeds 5,000.
50? Or 5,000?
5,000.
You mean the US?
Yes, US. Okay. Sorry, US. No, globally is 50,000, forgive me. So US is 5,000. Globally is 50,000. And then the what do you call it? The overall infection is 1 million. So that's the big story from the WHO. Meanwhile, China's manufacturing hub faces grim test as pandemic erodes export orders. This is coming from your people in China, South China Morning Post. And let me go to Star FM Online. Afram Plains, rainstorm rips off 60 houses, 2 injured, 460 displaced. That's also coming in from the Afram Plains.
Okay, let me take you to the front page of the Daily Graphic. Government rescues vulnerable. The Kai and other vulnerable in our society had been at the fore this week. The Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection has come up with mitigating measures to safeguard the health and well-being of vulnerable groups in the country. The work of COVID-19 pandemic and the restrictions on the movement of people in some areas. As part of the measures, headquarters, popularly known as Kai, will be provided free accommodation and given 3 meals a day within the period of the restriction measures. Additionally, they'll be giving daily stipends of 10 Ghana cedis each to live on. Now, quote from the Minister, Mrs. Cynthia Mamle Morrison, we currently have about 15,000 of those we are going to cater for. For those who have their apartments, we'll find ways of sending logistics to them to keep them away from coming to town. While for those that we are going to keep at identified places that we have found, we are going to cater for them. The minister said also food was being sent to people on the streets. We are sending food to people on the streets. You have people like the mentally retarded. We are picking 20 of them who are going to be taken care of, and they are not going to come back on the street. So we are going to give them food and water every day. He said they will also not be given only just hot meals, water and drinks, but also be taken through personal hygiene, citing those who were picked from Ejiso in the Ashanti region as automatic beneficiaries. So quite a few things being done there. And on the places that food will be sent to, just so people
So
can
we
also, we know. She says in Accra, CMB, the Tema Station, Agbobloshi, Malamata Market, Circle, Tiptoe Lane, Pig Farm, Accra Newtown, Mamobi, and Alajo. Now, for those in the Ashanti region, the places will include Adiabeba, High Tension, Moshizongo, Alaba, and Subing.
All right, Kojo.
Okay, more on COVID-19. Yesterday, we're giving the updates. 195 COVID-19 cases in Ghana. The story is in the Ghanaian Times. Now, the paper says that Ghana has recorded an upsurge in the number of confirmed cases of COVID-19 from 162 to 195. Addressing the media at an emergency briefing organized by the Ministry of Information in Accra yesterday, the Minister of Health, Mr. Kweku Agyemang-Manu, said 34 new cases were recorded on Tuesday. He said the breakdown of the confirmed cases had the Greater Accra still leading with 174 cases, 10 from the Northern region, 9 from the Ashanti region, 1 from the Upper West region, and 1 from the Eastern region. Mr. Manu explained that 100 out of the 192 confirmed cases were recorded during enhanced general surveillance by the Health Ministry.
Now let's continue. The Minister of Health spoke yesterday, generating a lot of uproar over the Bank Hospital. Now the Bank of Ghana sent out a statement. Our hospital is available to any COVID-19 patient. The Bank of Ghana seems to have reconsidered its decision to allow only VIPs and its staff who may be affected with coronavirus to be treated at the Bank of Ghana Hospital. Now, in a statement yesterday, April 1, the hospital, they said, will be available for the benefit of the general public. Now, Minister for Health, Kweku Agyemang-Manu, in the press briefing earlier in the day, had said that the bank had made available 2 floors of its hospital to host 20 beds for the treatment of COVID-19 patients. And the minister said because the Ministry of Health did not have jurisdiction over the facility, it agreed with the Bank of Ghana to treat only the central bank staff who may get COVID-19 and some VIPs. Now, this led to a lot of uproar in various sections of the media, forcing the Bank of Ghana to send a statement. Now, later on, Kojo Oponkroma, Minister for Information on the point of view, also then explained that the minister, his colleague Minister Kweku Agyemang-Manu, had misspoke when he indicated that the Bank of Ghana Hospital would only be treating VIPs and its staff who may be infected with coronavirus disease. Now, so he then says, we have had engagements with the Bank of Ghana and they've released 2 floors to take care of 20 beds for us. But the facility now, he says, will host all COVID-19 patients. Now, let's go into the 35 million, Kojo.
No, before
hospital to be built in
before Kojo goes into the 35 million and other hospitals, let me just give you another piece of news. Ridge Hospital, the emergency center, has been reopened
after it was closed following.
Now, if you go to page, that story is on page 17 of the Daily Graphic. It says that the emergency center at the Greater Accra Regional Hospital has reopened after it was closed down for disinfection following an unexpected visit to the center by someone infected with the COVID-19, thereby exposing health professionals there to the risk of infection. Briefing Daily Graphic yesterday, the medical director of the hospital, Dr. Emmanuel Srofenyo, said the center was closed to the public for almost 5 days for thorough disinfection to make it safe for both staff and patients. So the emergency center of Ridge Hospital back.
Now, more on COVID-19 before we go to the new hospitals. Property owners, landlords urged to furnish Ghana Immigration Service with information on new arrivals. Now, the story says all property owners and landlords in the country have been urged to furnish the Ghana Immigration Service with information on their tenants, including foreign nationals who traveled into the country between March 3 and 23, 2020. This is to enable the service to effectively identify such individuals through contact tracing for the Ghana Health Service to assess and manage them with respect to COVID-19. Also on COVID-19 and related matters, Accra Kumasi to embark on 3-day massive cleaning beginning this Friday. Now, the Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources has announced that 2 of the COVID-19 hotspots in the country are to undergo a 3-day massive cleanup exercise starting Friday. The exercise is to utilize a period of restricted movement in the major cities to ensure effective cleaning in support of the fight against the spread of the deadly virus.
Now, I had wanted you to tell me about
The
the
hospitals.
new approval from Parliament, $35 million.
It's here, page 16 of the Ghanaian Times. Parliament approves loans for construction of health facilities.
Okay.
Lawrence Marquis writes that Parliament on Tuesday approved a number of agreements to construct several health facilities across the country. These include the construction and equipment of a new 330-bed maternity block at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, construction of Tema, Nkransa, Doma hospitals, and the central medical stores and ancillary facilities. Others were the construction of a new La General Hospital by pulling down the old one, and the construction of the Shama Hospital, construction of 12 polyclinics in the Ashanti, Eastern, Greater Accra and Ahafo regions, and a turnkey construction of a urology and nephrology center of excellence at Kolebu. An amount of 147 million euros has been earmarked for the 330-bed facility at Kolebu from a loan facility from Standard Bank in London with support from EKN and ABS for an amount of 16.7 million euros. Now, the finance for rebuilding of the La General Hospital was gotten from a Sinusha-backed term loan facility agreement between the government and the Standard Bank of London, and that is 56 million euros. Now, there is more. For the construction of the Tema and Kranza, Doma hospitals, and the central medical stores, the loan agreement was sourced from the Israel Discount Bank Limited with support from APG for an amount of 139.3 million euros, and a commercial loan facility from same entities to a tune of 21 million euros. Now, the Shama District Hospital also has a loan agreement from Standard Bank in London for 28.7 million euros, and a loan facility of 5 million euros from the same entity. The polyclinic projects for the various regions were being financed from a facility agreement between the government of Ghana and EGBAG.
So in total, how many hospitals are we looking at?
We are 12 polyclinics, Kolebu Teaching Hospital, so that it's 13, Nkransa 14, Doma 15.
Okay.
Central medical stores.
Let's move still on the economy. 2 quick stories. Cutting down ministers and staffers for coronavirus alleviation program will be immaterial. Ken Oforiatta speaking yesterday. Finance Minister has shut down requests for government to reduce the number of ministers and other presidential staffers as a measure to raise more funds for the corona alleviation program. According to him, heeding to such a move would make no significant change in the government's fight to curb the spread of the virus and the impact of the pandemic on the economy. Now, he was speaking on the Point of View program in reaction to a question asked in relation to what John Jinapo had said, that instead of touching the Heritage Fund, they should rather reduce the size of government. Now, in relation to the Heritage Fund, the IES is cautioning government not to touch it because this would burden future generations. The Institute for Energy Security, IES, says any attempt by government to follow the Ghana Heritage Fund to fight the spread of coronavirus pandemic cannot be justified. The institute says the utilization of the fund deliberately set aside for future use will leave further generations with a burden too huge to carry.
Okay, let me also tell you about
and this is from citybusinessnews.com.
Okay, let me take you to page 22. There's a COVID story on page 22, but I want to give you some information first before I go to that COVID story from the Volta region, what is happening there. And there's an advertorial here in the matter of banks and specialized deposit-taking institutions, and in the matter of receivership. There's some important information here. Let me just quickly give you that.
Okay.
In line with government's commitment to protect depositors' funds and to show up public confidence in the financial system, government has made available to the receiver of the above resolved companies, as well as the official liquidator of the microcredit companies in official liquidation, a combination of cash and financial instruments totaling approximately 5 billion cedis to fully settle outstanding depositor claims of these institutions. As at Tuesday, 31st March 2020, of the 1 billion Ghana cedi cash component of government's funding made available to the receiver liquidator on 24th February 2020, approximately 920 million Ghana cedis has been disbursed, leaving an amount of approximately 80 million to be distributed to relevant depositors of the above resolved entities and microcredit institutions. Notice is hereby given that with effect from Thursday, April 2nd, 2020, Consolidated Bank Ghana will be issuing a government-backed non-interest-bearing financial instrument worth approximately 4 billion cedis to depositors of the above institutions whose validated and agreed claims in the resolution exercises have not been fully extinguished.
Which institutions are you referring to?
I am referring to the 347 microfinance
microfinance
companies
and the
and the
savings and
23 savings and loans and finance house companies.
So we still haven't heard anything about the 53 fund management companies.
Now let me tell you quickly about the Volta region and what is happening there. People are causing havoc there. Lockdown escapees troop to Volta region. Fear grips residents.
Charlie.
Residents of the Volta region are worried that the region may record a possible case of the novel COVID-19 following a surge in returnees from Accra and Kumasi in the wake of restriction of movement in the two metropolises last Monday. Lorry stations were choked while vehicles designated for destination in the Volta region were scarce last Saturday and Sunday as huge numbers of residents clamored for transportation back home. Now, though the Volta region has not recorded any case of the virus infection, some pubs in Ho and Hohoi continue to see an increase in patronage. Lockdown escapees in particular made the most of the night with reunions despite the directive on social distancing. However, a greater number of residents also stayed in their homes for fear of being exposed to the
Now,
virus.
speaking about movement, Burkina Faso, Guinea refused to receive citizens who tested positive for COVID-19 in Ghana. Don't forget yesterday, the press conference said the president had directed that the 10 be deported or repatriated. Now, my journal line has a story. Ghana is facing a diplomatic hurdle as it attempts to repatriate Burkinabe and Guinean citizens who tested positive for coronavirus in Tamale, Northern Regional Capital. Northern Regional Minister Salif Usaid has disclosed that authorities in Guinea are reluctant to receive 8 of their citizens who tested positive for coronavirus in Ghana. The 8 Guineans have been quarantined in Tamale. Our headache is that the Guinean authorities are saying they will not agree for us to return them. The minister said at a media briefing on Wednesday. Also, 2 Burkinabe remain in quarantine in Ghana as their home country threatens to return Ghanaians who are also critically ill in their country and receiving treatment. Addressing the media, the North Regional Minister said the Foreign Ministry is treading cautiously on the matter to prevent a diplomatic row.
And considering yesterday, Burkina Faso issued a statement which showed an increase in their cases. They have 282 cases, so 16 deaths.
I'm telling you, and only 46 recoveries. In fact, just a quick wrap up of Africa stories. Nigeria 174. They had a big jump yesterday. Kenya 88, 81. They also had a 22 jump yesterday, and Senegal 190. But they have 45 recoveries, and those are the numbers. South Africa is still leading in Africa, 1,380. 1,385 deaths, 50 recoveries.
Well, Bernard, the West African Exams Council has an advertorial in the Ghanaian Times, and it's about registration of candidates for the private exams. And they are saying that it started on the 10th of February and it will end on 17th April 2020. So candidates should complete their registration exercises. What I find troubling about this is that they are urging candidates to start the registration process by contacting internet cafes with the requisite equipment for the capturing of their fingerprints.
Okay.
And at this point of COVID, I thought that institutions like this, which usually have a lot of people patronizing their services, would consider putting on hold some of their activities. So I believe that WAEC should reconsider this advertorial and reschedule this private candidates exams because this is for the best.
Because the exam cannot be done in physically.
They have to take fingerprints, and that process would increase the number of contacts. And Charlie,
Bernard, let me take you international around the world to what is happening. You also have quite
now,
a
I'm
few
going to
there.
give you a quick one. ABSA donates 1 million cedis to COVID-19 fund, offers financial support to customers. That's a quick one. As a demonstration of their commitment to help in the fight against coronavirus, ABSA Bank donated an amount of 1 million Ghana cedis to the COVID-19 National Trust Fund set up by the government. The donation is towards the procurement of test kits and PPEs to support increased testing and the protection of our frontline.
And I think also Hollad did something as
a
well.
lot of, in fact, we'll probably have to do a list of the companies.
ADB,
a lot of
GCB,
companies.
Hollad,
Yes.
APSA,
Yes.
Ecobank, all of them are.
Well, Bernard, let me take you to a mop-up of Europe and COVID. On page 9 of the Daily Graphic, Spain records more than 9,000 COVID-19 deaths. And Spain has recorded another 864 deaths related to coronavirus, the highest in one day, as the total number of deaths across Europe has gone beyond 30,000. More than 9,000 people have died in Spain, which is second only to Italy in fatalities caused by the virus. Now, the country has been in lockdown for over 2 weeks, with further restrictions on movement introduced 2 days ago. Madrid and Catalonia are the hardest hit, with shortages of medical equipment a particular problem. Now, China has also barred foreign visitors as imported cases rise. China has announced a temporary ban on all foreign visitors, even if they have visas or residence permits. The country is also limiting Chinese and foreign airlines to 1 flight per week, and flights must not be more than 75% full. Although China reported its first locally transmitted coronavirus for 3 days on Friday, almost all its new cases now have come from abroad. And also the UN have launched a plan to counter the impact of COVID-19, where the Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, has underscored that developed countries must assist those less developed or potentially face the nightmare of the disease spreading like wildfire.
A few comments. Washington Post, U.S. death surge past 4,600 as officials compare struggle with Italy's outbreak. That's first story. Other story, Fauci's security is stepped up as doctor and face of U.S. virus response receives threats. Somebody's threatening Dr. Fauci. If you go to China, coronavirus, China's manufacturing hub Dongguan faces grim test as global export orders vanish. So it's affecting everybody. And the BBC is reporting that the cases globally are now close to 1 million. And that's coming in from the WHO. So those are some of the stories making the rounds across the world.
Interesting feature on page 7 of the Guardian.
And then finally, British Airways expected to suspend 36,000 staff.
Hey.
Oh yeah, the airline reaches a deal. This BBC, the British Airways expected to announce it to suspend around 36,000 staff. The airline, which grounded much of its fleet due to the coronavirus crisis, has been negotiating with the union for more than a week, and they have reached an agreement, but they are yet to sign on to some details. And up to 80% of BA cabin crew, ground staff, engineers, and those working at head office will have their jobs suspended, but no staff are expected to be made redundant yet.
Okay, so let's get some more stories on COVID-19.
Okay.
In Tamale, yesterday we spoke to the regional minister, and we are being told that 40 COVID-19 contacts have been quarantined in Tamale. And he also says that he's going to ban activities in the night, including
Sex work.
prostitution. That's how he put it. Now, the Ghanaian Times has the story on the 40 COVID-19 contacts. It says 40 people have been quarantined in the Tamale metropolis following the confirmation of 10 coronavirus cases in the area. The 40 people include the doctors and other health professionals who came into contact with the victims.
Well, I want to do a bit of sports and entertainment and COVID. So the president of the Ghana Football Association on page 31 of the Daily Graphic says that we must include football clubs in the 1 billion Ghana Cedi COVID-19 fund. Mr. Kurt Okreku has appealed to government to include clubs in the coronavirus alleviation program being rolled out. In an exclusive interview with the Daily Graphic, Mr. Okreku stressed the need for local clubs to be factored in the stimulus package announced by the president. As an industry, we're the first to be hit by our own COVID-19, which was the number 12 in 2008, followed by the normalization process and then another round of COVID-19. So our period of disaster has been long, and we really need the government to support us as a key industry that takes care of hundreds and thousands of the youth by way of employment. Now, if you go to entertainment as well, hard times ahead. Entertainment sector players. Now, head of radio and digital at Media Journal and Tourism Advocate, Francis Local Aso Graphic Showbiz, that has been a very difficult situation that the industry is facing. Many events that were planned for March and April have been suspended, postponed, or cancelled. Now, you also have George Kwe, who is the CEO of Image Bureau, who has also shared similar sentiments. Says a few more months of this will really be a killer. Many economists and industry gurus have in the past opined that the entertainment industry is recession-proof, but that is not the case with this virus.
I want you to give me one industry that has not been affected. It is crazy. In fact, on Citi News, we have a story that hotel owners are asking for government support because they are literally on their knees, and almost all the hotels Vivian visited had closed, and they were asking that if the government could support them, it would help. So it's a really terrible time for almost all kinds of businesses. And let me just add a final story on Afram Plains, and this is from Star FM. A violent rainstorm has ripped off 60 houses and displaced 460 occupants at Kwaikesi, a farming community in Kuru Afram Plains north of the eastern region. And then 2 people were injured, and 195 adults and 265 children have also been temporarily displaced, and they've been placed at St. Teresa's Basic School. The incident has affected power supply to the community as electricity and cables were also destroyed. So while all this is going on, the rainstorm is also wreaking havoc in parts of the country. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time. The newspaper review was brought to you by